Hello, Internet! Gino, that Pinguino Greco here again with another episode of Deep Listens, and today's a very special episode. We've got another interview episode. Hooray!
Woo!
Yay!
Woo. And I am joined, as always, by Peter the Wum Busby.
What's going on, everybody? That one will work, as they are self-proclaimed smartest and coolest hat-wearing race.
It's true. I figured they are the most introspective race. But maybe the Blussers are...
The Blussers. They're meditative people.
Yeah.
So, perhaps. But we are joined by the creators of Wuppo.
Hello.
The founders of Knuist and Perzik.
You practiced it 3 times.
That was good. No, you did good.
Yeah, nailed it. Lars and Thomas. Thank
Hello.
you for joining us.
No problem.
You're welcome.
Fantastic. So we are excited to talk about Wuppo, but before we get to Wuppo, I just thought, just a little background on your company. Based on the Wuppo site, I guess you guys have been making games since about 2014 or doing some sort of development stuff since then?
Well, we met each other in beginning high school.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and we've been making stuff together. Like, Thomas was always a musician, and I was always drawing stuff and working on games, I guess. And we wanted to make movies together, write books and everything. So we just turned to each other to make bigger things.
So are you thinking, expanding Wuppo into sort of a Marvel Cinematic Universe type of deal, like a company of books, or maybe movies, if possible?
That wasn't specifically Wuppo though. That was just different projects.
Okay.
But yeah, it could be interesting.
Just a lot of claymation.
Yeah.
So, in high school, were you coding at that point, or using some sort of development tools?
I was using the same tools, but I was really bad back then. So we tried making one game about 4 times, Dark Era. But yeah, it just kept failing, and then the 3rd attempt of rebuilding Wuppo finally worked, and we went with that.
Sweet.
And in the meantime, we made some animations. We changed company name 3 times.
What were the proto company names that became Knuist and Perzik? Perzik.
First, we went with Twiligt.
Thank you for not settling on that one.
Good change.
Do you want to tell about the other names that we were considering before going with Knuist and Perzik?
I think we just went from Tuluk to Knuist and Perzik, actually. But it was decided on a hunch. We were actually going to the Chamber of Commerce for registering our company. And the guy behind the counter asked, what's your company name? And we had no clue at that point. So we just went with Knuist and Perzik, and we stuck with it ever since.
Luckily, I forgot my password, so I forgot my passport, so we had to travel back and forth, and that gave us some time to settle, I guess.
And does Knuist and Perzik mean anything in?
It's I guess it does mean something, but it just sounds really fun to us. In Dutch it sounds like a combination of serious and completely ridiculous, and that's just what we like. Like some law firm, but a very corrupt one.
Awesome. So you said you were making a couple of games and prototypes. Were they all Wuppo until Wuppo, or a couple of different ideas?
We were working on some RPG kind of thing. We tried doing that a couple of times, and then Wuppo was also started 6 years ago, and we also worked on animations. There's too much. Sorry for being confusing, but we also have a YouTube where we released a movie called Dragon 218, which you can watch now.
It's horrible, by the way.
No, it's fun.
That's a good pitch. Our listeners will love it.
Fun and horrible. Raves
pretty much our wheelhouse. Yeah.
Creator raves, fun and horrible.
We restarted Wuppo a couple of times, and it changed a lot throughout the years. It started off very random, like a very random Flash-like game, I guess, and then we turned it into something a bit more serious, I guess. Not really, but
I gotta say, when I was first looking at the Steam page, because Pete, so I don't know, the way our podcast works is every 2 weeks we do just kind of a book club thing where one of the three hosts picks a game and we all just play it and discuss it. And then on the off weeks we do interviews and stuff like this. But it was Pete's turn, and he actually picked Wuppo for us. And at first, when I saw it on the Steam page, I wasn't sure how random it was going to be. Because dang if it's not a cute little dude, little Wuppo, on the picture.
Yeah.
And I wasn't sure how internet-y it was going to get, because he looks like he could be a little internet random. But the game was remarkably tonally consistent. And I was really impressed with it.
Thanks.
Thank you. That's what we liked. We really didn't like the randomness that it had before. We wanted something more consistent, and it almost made it feel a bit more down to earth, while it's completely ridiculous.
Yeah, it does. And I guess was this game always a platformer with some shooting elements, or did it get adjusted? Because there's still a whole lot of transit and kind of dialogue systems going on in this game that makes me think it might have changed shape a couple times.
A lot of asset collection for a platformer too, like more than you typically see in the genre.
A lot of what?
Asset collection, like you get a lot of cool hats.
Oh
a lot of items. Absolutely.
A lot of smirt.
Yeah. We started off with the shooting mechanic and the jumping. I really liked a game called An Untitled Story. Not sure if you heard of it. It's a platformer, and I really liked that, and started off kind of like that, and then we really wanted to shift into our own direction. And over time it just got influenced by different games. One of the games that influenced it a lot was Mass Effect 2.
Yeah.
We really liked the character development, and it was something me and Thomas were both very excited about. It just kept changing until we came to this.
Yeah, I mean, I thought that the suicide mission at the end was a little bit... you just wear the reference right on your sleeves.
Not aware of that one. I only played Mass Effect 2, but...
So did I guess something that jumped out at me when I was playing Wuppo was that the shooting mechanics and the jumping mechanics, they're surprisingly different from what I've played with a lot of these sorts of games. Like the arc on the shots is I mean, it feels good to actually shoot in Wuppo, but it behaves in a pretty different way from other games. It feels like everything's really under gravity in a way that other games sometimes they
changed the whole game actually. It changes the whole game, and it was always with the gravity. But when you shoot with bullets that have gravity, it's going to look really weird if bosses start shooting without gravity. So we just figured we put gravity with everything, and then we were kind of stuck with that. But it made some cool challenges to still put interesting gameplay in there.
Yeah, and I liked the choice that all of your shots kind of move you. They kind of influence your momentum a little bit, which meant for moving as quickly as possible, you want to be kind of jumping and shooting.
Yeah.
Super cool. So how did you, with boss design and enemy design, when you have a pretty simple game in terms of like you've got shooting, you've got jumping, and then you can add a couple of other mechanics here and there, how did you scope out all the different bosses? Because they all play fairly differently, despite having very similar mechanics.
Not sure. We just keep trying to come up with different stuff, I guess.
I think we focus more on the initial design from a graphical perspective, like what kind of animations, what kind of sounds, how big or how small, and with that as a starting point, we started focusing on the gameplay. And most of the bosses have had multiple iterations. They started out very differently in terms of gameplay, and we just tried to polish them as much as possible.
I don't think the gameplay is even that different between the bosses, but mostly what Thomas said, like the scope of them and where they move, and the gameplay isn't all that different.
I mostly found, for me, just playing through, that some of the different bosses, like the strategies I would take, like the weapons I would use, or the way I would move around, depending on whether what kind of shots they had, or if they shot at all, would actually vary up the way I had to approach things. But I did not use items for a good long while, like the consumables. I didn't want Wuppo to eat too many items.
In the beginning, you actually got fat from eating every item in the game. So
you dialed that back?
Yeah, we canceled that.
That's actually a good point. How did the gain weight mechanic come about? Was that just always?
I don't remember. I'm looking at Thomas. We both forgot.
It just arose organically in the game world.
It was
itself.
just fun. It's just fun to eat stuff and get fatter, and then we quickly try to get rid of that because it messes up your whole game if you can't jump high and walk fast. So
people got stuck a lot.
Yeah, I was wondering because the first time I did it and accidentally made Wuppo fat, and then your jump gets really low and you move a lot slower. I was like, there's got to be a point in this game where I'm gonna have to eat an ice cream, get super fat, and then that's the secret.
And just jump worse. Like that's the key to progressing.
Move slower and jump worse.
No, it's just a fun little detail, I guess.
Yeah, there was actually a point, Pete, I don't know if you remember, where there was like a pedestal that you had to put an item on.
Mm-hmm.
I thought the secret was to get fat and then stand on
So
it.
you had to weigh down the pedestal further.
Yeah,
I've actually seen some people who use it when you're stealing a Wuppo chip card. They just get really fat so they don't move as fast, so they can easily get by the dishes and stuff.
All right, yeah, that's smart.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, that was
totally
one
a feature.
When I realized that objects, when you move past them, the speed at which you move knocks them off shelves. That was a game changer, because for a while, trying to steal a Popo chip card, I thought I had to execute a perfect jump over a bunch of dishes.
Yeah.
Which was I was not good at that. So one thing about the world, you said that you did a lot of the world design and level design first. There's a lot of races in Wuppo, a lot of different creatures and peoples throughout the world. How did you conceptualize the four major races? The Wums, the Blussers, the Blank Hackers, and then
the Fnackers.
The Fnackers.
That dates very long back. Thomas is looking confused again. I think we were working on a spin-off game. We called it Wuppo Wars, and we canceled that and stuff. But then we came with the different races. And later on, we made some sort of story behind it, like the metaphysics you guys talked about in that other podcast. They all got their own purpose, and it gave us the opportunity to give different opinions in the world, different views and different societies and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure how we came up with specifically them.
Yeah, it's surprisingly deep. Like all of the different societies, I liked like the creation myths and things that are in this game, where I was not expecting it until I found a couple of reels of film, and then had a man in a hat with a beard tell me.
Well, I guess we usually just start off with something that we like, and then we try really hard to make it make sense in the game. So it's always hard to remember how we started off with them.
Because our goal with Wuppo was always to make it seem like a believable world, despite its quirky looks. So a lot of thought went into designing backstories and give everything a reason for there to be in the game world.
Yeah, I mean, as fun as the game world obviously is, it is certainly internally consistent. Like, these are functioning societies in their own way.
Yeah.
Which, I guess, let's go into Spoiler Town a little bit, just so that I'm just going to warn the listeners, there will be spoilers from here on out, because I want to discuss this game in depth with the people who made it and some of these specifics. So, like, the different films, how long did it take you guys to make those films and have all those different stories? Because I was really surprised with how many individual pieces of art would show on the films, and then how many pieces of lore would be associated with them.
So we worked on the lore for a very long time, and when writing the dialogues, it actually happened really quickly. We were just writing down some stories that fit in the lore, and I guess I drew a different slide for every film strip. So that did take a long time, but yeah.
And
I just didn't want to repeat any assets in the film strips, because then you would lose reason to collect them.
Well, it definitely worked for me of the film strips that I actually found.
Oh, that's good.
And when did you decide that after watching the film strips, on top of just getting the lore, you'd also get happiness and smirk?
Well, just a additional reward. Like, you do it for a reason. It's fun, but you also get a little reward for it, so you feel good that you invested your time and thought into it.
Yeah, because I think normally most people would not be that interested in collecting and finding all these film strips, these collectibles. But if you offer them a reward, like you can get some smurf, the in-game money, or some happiness, it's a little incentive to collect these things.
Very cool. I was really impressed with how deep each of the stories could get, like individual journals about individual characters who I thought I'd see once and then would never see again, or races that I... Oh, go ahead, Pete.
Yeah, it became like a quest to unlock Carlo's diary. Because they wouldn't read it at first, then they'd look at it, but nobody would read it. It wasn't until you got to the very end. Find out what's going on in this man's life.
He's very internally tortured about evicting people.
He is, yeah.
But not enough to let you back.
In the end, this is maybe more spoiler, but you can sort of move back in. He's sort of okay with it. If you go back after. Yeah.
Game breaking. I thought the only home you get is in the nether sphere. What?
The Tussin.
Yeah,
Tussin
that's the only actual home you get, but he's kind of fine with you just walking around there still after. Okay. So after you went on a journey, because he wanted you to experience the world and stuff, and then he felt like you grew up and that he's okay with giving you another chance.
So he sort of grows up with us, It's a story of personal development.
Yeah, and you get the backstory of him and your character throughout his diary.
Yeah,
makes sense. And so some questions on just the societies of Wuppo. Like, there's the Wum house, which is kind of its own little town in a hotel, I'd say.
Yeah.
Then there's Popo City, and then there's the bottom of the giant sinkhole.
Yeah.
And of course the theme park.
And the theme park.
Wondersplank.
Which I unfortunately missed, but I somehow...
Yeah, it's completely optional.
I made a wrong turn and didn't.
It's the most fun I've ever had waiting in line during a game. Kudos to you guys for that.
There's so many people that don't like it and so many people that really like it.
I think it's great.
Yeah, we like it too.
So how did... I guess Popo City was the section of the game that really made me think the most. Like, how did you come up with Popo City? Like, I don't even know how to describe its economy or its social dynamic. Like,
it's like the ultimate fiat economy where everybody gets an arbitrary amount of credit for whatever work they do. It's a very strange economic structure, I guess is what Gino said.
You get paid in smirt, but then on top of getting paid in smirt, you're earning credit for the city. So it's like this weird hybrid of capitalism and communism.
Yeah. But the point is kind of it's supposed to be the opposite of the Wum house. The Wum house is filled with lazy Wums who don't do anything but eat, just like you're the player character at the start of the game. And Popo City is supposed to be a place where everyone is working together towards a new goal, which is, of course, expanding the city and building a new district. Mm-hmm. And that's what you're helping them with, essentially. So you can't proceed in the game unless you help the city earn enough credit to build a new expansion.
Yeah, and how did you come up with each of the different jobs you can take on? Because I spent a while generating electricity.
Oh,
People were very
How long
impressed
did you
with my
spend
jumping.
in
I spent maybe about 10 minutes generating electricity. It's not a great
Wow,
return
okay.
on credit.
Yeah.
one each jump.
Dang it.
Yeah, we just brainstormed, I guess, for which jobs there are. We actually have many ideas for more jobs, so we just had to pick a few and go with that.
Yeah,
Not sure what to say, like how we came up with them.
Yeah, I mean, each of them, I was like delivering papers and slowly hearing about the story of how this newspaper
Yeah, that
printer
was-
is going to undercut his boss.
Oh yeah.
Go
Yeah,
out on his
we
own.
have two storylines in there. You have the credit that you keep adding up, and then also have the Neft infestation or Kneft infestation. And we try to come up with a gameplay where you move around the city and kind of get into both stories, and then gradually move towards the points in the story where they both become important.
Yeah, and they kind of come to a head.
Yeah.
And I think one of the jobs was kind of my idea, because you're walking around this city, which to me feels kind of like playing Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah.
And in Grand Theft Auto, you always have in-game radio stations. So I wanted to have that in Wuppo, in Popa City. So there's an in-game radio with lots of weird songs, which you need to unlock first by removing the vermin at the radio station.
Mm-hmm.
And once you do that, the credit starts moving faster.
Yeah, I once I realized that the credits started moving faster, I solved the radio station problem. And can you can definitely buy one of the hats that lets you listen to the radio, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, the most fun part of the game is just adding stupid songs we make to the radio. It's really...
While we're talking about hats, I never made enough smirt to unlock the gang's hat, like the criminal hat. What's the in-game function of the criminal hat?
Some people in the game get scared of you, like a bit different dialogue.
So it turns you into a badass.
Yeah, you can
Basically.
sort of make up your own story behind it, but the NPCs are just kind of like, oh, did I do anything wrong? Or like they're a bit scared of you.
I should have saved up for that. I would have enjoyed that.
All of a sudden, all the enemies run away. Fanakers just can't handle it.
No.
So, I guess in the city, I love the debate hall.
Yeah.
You just kind of you have to buy a bell to even be heard.
Yep.
But once you buy a bell, they pay you to show up and debate hot topics with some people who seem to have nothing else to do.
Exactly.
And they're making
Which
all
is
decisions
pretty
for the
much like
city.
you. Yeah.
How many, I only got through the first sequence where they're basically asking you to investigate the Kneft infestation.
Yeah.
How many different debates can you engage in?
I'm not sure. I can look it up really quickly now.
Well, there's a good one about painting food too, like whether or not we should paint the street vendors' foods.
They actually start painting the food if you make it happen.
Do that. I never double checked on it. They actually.
Okay.
It's a very well-run society. It's an efficient city.
Yeah.
Once it's democratically decided, I guess it's not even democratically decided. Once it's argued that something should be done, and enough people are like, "Cool," but only the people in that room with bells.
But then it's instantly implemented.
Instantly
Yeah,
implemented.
it's 6 dialogues, by the way.
Sweet. Yeah, I will have to go and debate some more with all. I like that you have to figure out all the personalities of all these different Wums to convince them.
Yeah.
One thing that just the city made me realize is how much transportation and movement is a big thing in Wuppo. Like getting from place to place is always, you always have to take a shuttle or run down a long tunnel or take a trolley. How did you guys envision Wuppo when it came to just like getting around? Because it's a pretty different way from a lot of platformers where it's more discrete levels rather than a connected world.
I think we both really like trains. Sitting in a train and seeing the scenery move around you. I don't know. It's just we just thought it was really fun, and it also make you feel like you're traveling further, which you obviously are traveling further, but we felt it just engages you into the world a bit more if you want to make these big jumps in scenery to do them by transportation.
Yeah, it does create a nice feeling of distance and significance between the places. Yeah, as opposed to just having sort of big jump cuts where it's just a loading screen and you're there.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And that leads me, so in the world of Wuppo, what do you guys envision the world looking like? Like in terms of, like when I met the bankrent, and he had cried a hole in the earth.
Yep.
And then sometimes he just kind of like absorbs into the earth and then pops out the other side.
Yeah.
It made me question how big the world was supposed to be and what the properties of it were.
So Bankrent is, I guess, like in the early stages of that world, and just like in the real world, the ground gets higher over time because there's more dust coming to the earth and stuff, and you just go back in history by going down. So I guess the earliest life is at the stage of Bankrent, and then you end up with the Wums above the ground.
So the Bankrent is just really, really, really old. That's basically the point.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's awesome.
But a lot of the ground got added in one time because he vomited the ground.
So there's an entire civilization of creatures who disappeared because they fed him too much mud, and he vomited all over the place. Which is one of the later stages in the game.
When did you
where you
come
find
up?
This old civilization?
When did you come up with the Bankrent apocalyptic vomit? That the Bankrent ended society for a while because he vomited mud all over everything. Was that the first thing on the design doc? You wrote that down?
And they're like, we need to structure the rest of the game around it. We need this floating head.
Well, the Bankrent himself was something we found in a very old high school
sketchbook.
It actually means, what does it mean in English?
It was sort of supposed to be like, I don't know if you played Fable 2. Fable 2 has these gargoyles, these small statues on the side of buildings who insult you. It was sort of supposed to be similar like that.
But then it
like
was
a creature stuck on a wall that just insults the player.
Or actually on your sofa. That was already because bank.
Yeah, because bank is Dutch for sofa.
Yeah, we had this idea that your sofa under it, if you would look under it, you have these Bankrents sitting there and cursing at you.
Makes no sense at all. We know.
I mean, to be fair, it's not like that much different when you're wandering this somewhat primitive society and then there's just a big face staring at you.
Yeah, you just turn a corner and there's a head.
Yeah.
The sky, I guess.
Just a human head sticking out of the mud.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he's filled with mud. I guess it kind of came because there's a lot of mud in the game. You get dirty all the time. It's
true.
And it just kind of made sense in a way, in a conceptual way.
Yeah, now that you're tying all the pieces together, there's definitely a lot to it.
So I guess the other thing that we definitely wanted to cover was the metaphysical turn at the end. Pete, do you have some questions?
Yeah, well, let me make sure. I gotta double check the guy's name now.
Oh, do you mean
Redav
Kned?
Yes.
Yep.
When Redav Kned shows up, he goes on sort of a lengthy discussion of sort of the metaphysics of the world. There's Knuist. There's some other terms I should have written down. So my question is just sort of, one, why introduce this sort of complex discussion of these three elements? And two, sort of, if it's meant to be a full system in itself, like, does it work, I guess?
Yeah, it works. First, we were trying to come up with an ending for the game. we came up with some sort of ending where the Fnackers built a factory and stuff, and they were secretly kind of smart. And we ended up really not liking that. We wanted them to be dumb and fun. So then I did some. I was in school, in animation school, and I was doing my final project, and I was doing a lot of research, and I spent a lot of time, making sense of the world of Wuppo. And I came up with these metaphysics, and we ended up being able to explain everything in the world with it. And it was kind of fun to have that into the later half of the game. And for the gameplay, it just seems really fun for people that are very excited for Wuppo. They have the opportunity to learn more about the world, and they have the opportunity to get into a conversation with Red of Knet and keep asking, like, how does this work? How does this work? So you could learn how it works.
Yeah, he does. He has answers for all your questions.
Yep.
Like whatever you want to ask the guy.
But it's possible to skip just most of it and just get to the ending. But for people who would like to learn more, you can ask him about everything. Yeah.
And
it doesn't always work out, because for some people, I guess, it answers a lot of questions that you didn't really have. But for some people, it actually falls into place. Like the Knuist mechanic, like the energy that leaves the body, it actually happens in the game. If you kill a creature, you see it happen, and it is all throughout the game.
Nice. So did you try to sort of build this on an existing platform? Like, did you find yourself going back and reading, like David Hume, Heidegger, Kant, all those big names, and say, all right, I can incorporate this? Or did you just start from scratch and sort of see what you could build yourself?
I guess from scratch. I just do a lot of research and then end up seeing some connections between them and then come up with something and then make it work.
Sweet.
Yeah, like I said, it was, especially now, I didn't even notice it spread throughout the game, but just asking Read Af Knet, it's definitely an interesting and internally coherent system.
Yeah. One of the things I liked most, maybe it gets a bit too lore-y now, but just stop me. But, we could actually explain why the Blyones exist, the flower people in the jungle, and why they look like the way they look, and all that kind of stuff. Because, never mind, I'm going to get too lore-y.
No, dude, go ahead. No, that's why you're here.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, you have this dimension, I guess, Cranktorium, that rings a bell.
Mm-hmm.
Does it ring a bell?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
And he's trying to look for the perfect creature that could sustain in that planet. And then something happened, and he made up the Blyones. That when they die, they return.
Yes.
So he created the Blyones that are very dumb. They get killed all the time, so they return very quickly. But they have these arms and legs and eyes like this, so they can absorb as much information as they possibly can and return with it as quickly as possible, so that he could figure out what's going on.
Oh.
Right. Yeah, and then they join the academy at the very end too.
Yeah.
They go to school. After a long day of smashing rocks. They just hate them. They hate them so much.
Yep. Yeah, it's actually a bit of a side story. The rectangle boss?
Yeah.
So there's a comment of that character above the Wuppo planet, and that's what they were going to investigate for Cranktorium. So that's why they hate rocks, because those are made out of rocks.
As long as they have a good reason for it.
Yeah.
Very cool. And I guess, the moment when you get given the mask, and he's like, you're going to need to die for a second, but it's going to be cool. Your body's going to die. You're going to go to this cool place, and we're going to get you to the other side of the world. It's all going to work out. Just end yourself, please.
Yep.
And it all works out. And I guess that also unlocks the fast travel system.
Yep.
Which is a pretty cool way to do it. Any particular reason why, you saved that till the end?
We liked having distance between places.
Mm-hmm.
I guess that's it. And it was a good opportunity to enable a fast travel before you get to to the ending, and if you want to collect some final stuff, gather all the items, all the weapons, and all the upgrades. So the only place where that would be most helpful would be right before the ending of the game. So it kind of just came together that way.
And of course, it's important to keep the consistency, because fast travel wouldn't really make sense in any other kind of way. How does it work within the world? How do you fast travel? How can you explain that? And by doing it this way, with the mask and dying and moving to a different dimension, it sort of makes sense a little.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense.
I mean, it makes more sense than like this low-tech race developing teleporters or something.
Yeah.
Finackers could teleport all along.
Crazy. I mean, they smash a lot of things, but it turns out they were smashing them for good reason.
Yeah.
They're smashing the quarks within them or something.
That actually reminds me. So, Splank plus Blusserwater equals society? Equals...
Yes, sort of. The building.
The ability to build things?
It absorbs. So Splank is a very dense material, and it absorbs the Bluswater, and then it gets really big, but remains very solid.
Is there something to be done with the piece of Splank you discover? I don't think we ever figured that one out either.
Well,
I'm not sure if I remember, actually.
You can definitely solve
You can
puzzles
use
with
it in the... Yeah, you can use it to solve certain puzzles, yeah.
Okay.
There's a scale in the underground temple near
When
the
you
end
were
of the
talking
game.
about when you get that, you can actually use the Splank piece because it's so dense and heavy.
Okay.
Yeah. That was the one where I thought I needed to eat ice cream until I could
weigh
it down
And that
myself.
Splank was the key all along.
It was.
Yeah, or you can use different items. There are multiple items that are heavy enough to push it down.
Okay.
Yeah, I used a rock. I didn't think of this one.
Okay. Yeah.
I actually backtracked that entire level to buy a rock. And
Oh,
now
wow.
And now I feel dumb, but it's okay.
Right.
Yeah, you could have used the pot helmet that's also made out of rock. So.
Oh. See, this is... Got us try different things. Wuppo, there were a surprising number of times where I was like, what is the solution here? And the solution was actually to put on a hat. Or to throw a thing out of my... Like the Pope... I didn't realize that the Popo hat was a important thing until I got to a point where I needed to open a gate.
Yeah, until you couldn't go any further without it.
Yes.
You can actually use the Popo hat to steal a tram and drive the tram yourself.
Wait, what?
Where?
I don't know if you figured that out.
No.
In Popo City, one of the trams has its door open, so you can steal the tram.
Can you steal any other things? Or just
You
trains?
steal chip card.
Oh, yeah, and the chip card. You steal the chip card. I guess.
I don't remember. Yeah, you can steal the blusser pipe on some guy on the island that blows bubbles. You can steal it.
All right. Wuppo's hard Scrabble. He just takes whatever he wants.
He came up hard.
A lot of sitting, a lot of eating ice cream, but mostly scheming.
Yeah. Well, it's up to you. You don't have to steal anything.
That's true.
Once you know you can steal a train, you pretty much have to.
That's true. Yeah.
So how many different hats are there? Just for not. You don't need to give me a hard number. Over 100 hats? 50 hats?
Over 100.
Over 100 hats. This is a Dota level of hats. And the hats actually do something.
Yeah.
Most of them do something, yeah.
I mean, they all make you look stylish, so they all do something.
Yeah. True.
So a couple of questions just on the development side. So I noticed that during the beginning of the game, there's a credit to the Creative Industries Fund, NL, which when I looked it up, it looked like it was basically a government-run grant. Did you guys apply for that, or how did you come to know about it?
We applied for it.
Yeah,
it's just I think it's by the government.
Yeah, it's government.
So, yeah, we just applied for it, and they seemed to like Wuppo, and then they gave us money.
Sweet.
Why wouldn't they?
Did you learn about it in university, or just happened across it? Because at least in the U.S., those grants are not unless you've got a professor who might point it out to you, you really
they're
need to
not
do your own
advertised.
research.
Well, you have to write a very big document on what makes your game good and why they should invest in the game.
Yeah.
As far as I know, they reject a lot of games.
Mm-hmm.
Do they? I assume that. Well, do they play it? I guess the grants to develop it, so they couldn't.
Yeah, they couldn't play it yet. I think they asked for some gameplay footage.
Okay.
I'm not sure. But yeah, we just explained the world and what made Wuppo stand out through our opinion.
Mhm.
And yeah, they just liked it.
Sweet. And did you? I don't know how much like the grant was for, but was that enough to cover you guys through development, or did you have to finance some of it yourself? Like, did it give you some peace of mind in terms of we can develop this game, we don't have to worry about necessarily going out for a publisher and grooming it and putting it through, some sort of focus test or something like that?
It basically gave us all our hardware now and software, so that was very nice. Thomas could buy, if there was a sample library for Thomas's music, he could just buy it. I could get a really good computer, so I could actually build the game within 20 minutes. So yeah, it really helped us on that aspect. In terms of how much money, it's not. It was just the hardware.
We don't want exact numbers.
We don't want exact numbers.
Did they put like constraints on you as a result? Like Wuppo.
We only have to use their logo.
Okay.
That's it.
It seemed like Wuppo, you guys were pretty much free to do whatever you wanted for the most part.
Yeah, we were.
No, Pete. Clearly, the criminal hat and stealing trains was focus test.
Yeah.
That was all the result.
Those were the suits over in the bureaucracy. They were mandating this sort of stuff.
Yes.
We wanted a very serious game, but no, they weren't.
Could you make it more like Grand Theft Auto? The kids are into it. This is all cute, but if you could have an underground weapons modifier and a couple of people you can rob, that'd be great. Kids will love it then.
Yeah.
So I guess, Thomas, just to ask about the music a little bit, Wuppo's got a pretty eclectic set of sounds. Like, where did you get inspired to make the music of Wuppo?
That's a good question. I think for the most part, because we got the different races, and I tried to give each of them a unique sound, I tried to think if they had the ability to make music themselves, what kind of music would they make? Mm-hmm. So, for instance, with the Fnackers, it's very percussive and it sounds very clunky and sketchy, and like they're using a cheap old piano that doesn't work very well. And with the Wums, it's more of a very organized, almost like clockwork. I even use a lot of bell sounds for the Wums. And the Blossers are very relaxed and kind of spiritual. So the music is very, very smooth and easy and relaxed. And the Splankhackers are kind of... The Splankers are more difficult to explain. But
they're way into theme parks, so...
Yeah, that's basically it. So
that's their defining trait.
I just try to give the music a sort of happy theme park feel without making it too cheesy. And in terms of the sounds, I guess I always like to find a unique sound for the music I make. So almost every song has some sort of weird instrument that's in it. There's almost no stuff that's purely orchestral or just piano. I'm always trying to look for unique sounds. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, there's over 130 tracks in the game.
Wow.
Yeah. That's another thing. I didn't want to repeat any kind of music. I wanted everything to have its own theme.
So, over 130 songs. So how do they all loop? Or at a certain point, do some of them just blend into each other directly? Or they're all set.
Some of the songs are layered, or they have like a day and a night version. So they have
right.
So
they
have
in the Wumhouse, yeah.
In the waiting line version.
Wonders Plank. Yeah, and Wonders Plank, if you're waiting in line, the music changes slightly.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That reminds me, when did you decide there would be a day-night cycle?
Too long ago. This game has been under development for like 6 years, so we really can't remember every.
Yeah. All those little touches definitely make it stand out. And so when I was waiting for a guy and his dad, a kid and his dad, to fall asleep so I could rob him of his Popo City card.
Yeah.
I was like, what? I thought I was playing a platformer with shooting, and now I'm waiting for these kids to fall asleep so I can break in their window.
Suddenly it's a heist game.
Yeah, that's one thing we really wanted to do is get gameplay by the narration of the game. So this one moment you're playing very much a game with bosses and stuff, but the other moment you're working for credit, or you're stealing a chip card, or you're cleaning up after yourself. Just kind of let the story narrate the gameplay.
Yeah. So Pete, were there any other questions that you had burning? Because I've got some rapid fire questions.
No, I think we covered pretty much the main things I was interested in.
All right, cool.
Okay.
So, if you don't mind, I've tried this on other interviews, and it seemed to go well. So, I've got some rapid-fire questions. So,
Should we start the timer?
In your head. I don't know if there's...
I'll count it down mentally.
Okay. 3, 2, 1. Based on what you said, what is your favorite train ride to go, like, from place to place? Where to where?
School.
To school? So, like...
I went to school that was like 2 hours away from my home, so I had a very long train ride. And if I could sit, if there was space to sit, it was actually quite nice.
Okay. What is your favorite theme park ride? Now, you can say a specific ride or a type of ride. Either one is applicable.
TT Express, which is a wooden roller coaster in Everland in Korea.
Oh, wow.
That was very specific.
Someone really likes roller coasters.
Okay. Are any of the roller coasters in Wuppo designed after that ride?
Yes.
No. There's one roller coaster in the game, which is sort of based on a roller coaster in Sweden. I don't know if I can remember the name.
Insane. It's called Insane.
Yeah, Insane. Yeah. So if you look that up on Google, you can see the similarities.
Okay.
Outstanding. What is your favorite game that you did not make?
Recently, I really enjoyed The Witcher 3.
I liked Inside.
Oh, sweet. That was a strong competitor for our Game of the Year last year.
Yeah, we liked that one a lot, too.
That did win our Game of 2016, didn't it?
I
think it did.
Maybe?
I think it was Inside. 2016.
It came in second. No, it came in second.
Oh, what? Okay, it was close. It was very good. We enjoyed it very much.
Okay, yeah.
What is your favorite song you did not write, Thomas?
Oh, that's a really difficult question.
What's the one with the game that we just played? The song that we keep repeating on Monday.
I really like the Daytona music. Rolling Star.
Good call. Daytona, always great. What game got you into game development? What game did you play and then go, I need to make these?
I guess an Untitled story, which would make me realize that I could make a game too.
I would have to say probably one of the Rayman games. Maybe Rayman 2.
Oh yeah, we both really like Rayman 2, so that's a big inspiration for us.
We don't get too much love for Rayman on the podcast yet.
We haven't, but we should.
Those
games are really great.
Definitely.
And that also makes the world of Wuppo make a lot more sense. The Rayman influence makes it all ties together.
Okay.
Is our Vomit Apocalypse is going to be a unifying theme in your games? Will they carry
Possibly,
forward?
I guess.
Like they're going to make
sure.
like a really gritty, realistic drama, and then we just Bankrat like right beside or something.
Oh no, people have been
So I
feeding
guess
him
the
mud.
question is Bankrant going to be a recurring character?
That was my follow-up question.
The next 30 questions are just Bankrat related.
I don't know, maybe. Who knows?
All right.
There might be some cameos. Maybe.
It makes sense.
I'm not hearing a no. Is there a hidden talk radio section in Popo City, a la Grand Theft Auto?
He talks for some songs. There was an interview, but we had no time to polish that enough. He gives, I think he gives a little introduction for some songs, but I'm not sure.
Okay, but there's no like people making snide jokes or.
No.
Okay.
Well, the idea is everyone in Popo City is working very, very hard, so they don't have time to do interviews.
They're serious people.
Except for the people who fish. Those people are lazy. And last but not least, what is your favorite race in Wuppo? Pick your favorite baby.
It's tough between Splankhacker and Fnacker, I think.
Going to go with Blussers.
Blussers? We got a nice diversity.
I mean, they're all good.
Outstanding. So I think that is all of my rapid-fire questions. Pete,
Okay.
any last questions?
No, just sort of, where you guys are headed next, what we can be excited for.
We're currently working on our next game, and we're also doing some stuff with Wuppo, but yeah, we're not going to say too much.
Yeah, we
about it.
recently released a boss run update. I don't know if you've...
I saw the update, yeah.
Sweet.
Can we get,
Yeah.
I mean, you guys probably want to, keep it a little close to the vest, but any details about the new game?
It's
If not,
I guess a bit, we're experimenting a bit. We have a lot of ideas that we want to try out. We have to playtest a lot this time. But we want to make a game that are as enjoyable for people that liked Wuppo. They're gonna like they're probably gonna really like the new game.
Great.
Alright,
Glad
sounds
to hear
good.
it. I guess actually what you just mentioned just reminded me one other question. How did you guys playtest this game? Like, did you have friends and family playtesting it, or were you able to contract some testers?
We both, I guess, we had some company called Purple Beard that did a QA, and we also had some. I used to have a popular YouTube channel, and a lot of people were still following the game, so a lot of people were very happy to playtest in the final stages of the game.
Great. Yeah, because
Very cool.
I have no idea how as an indie team you get enough eyes on it without. I have no idea how that works. It's very cool.
Yeah.
Purple Beard. That's a great company name. Though the people who make Frog Fractions, they are Twin Beard. So I'm afraid that they're both competing for the beard space.
There's also another studio called Weird Beard. I think there are a lot of beard companies.
Makes sense.
Makes sense.
Developer demographics.
A lot of people can grow them. They're very unifying.
Yeah.
That's true.
James Harden, Fear the Beard. So I want to say thank you again to Lars and Thomas. If you want to get listener, if you want to try out Wuppo, it is available now on Steam. You should probably have Steam. You're listening to a podcast about video games. You know
On Steam and GOG as well.
GOG.
Good old games. And there's a free demo.
Sweet. And the free demo is available on both of those sites as well, right?
Only on Steam, I think.
At the moment, yeah.
Okay. Great.
Yeah. Well,
so-
pleasure to be here.
Thank you both. And listener, if you want to get in touch with the show, at DeepListensPod, deeplistens.libsyn.com, and deeplistenspodcast@gmail.com. And if anyone wants to find out more information about you guys, where should they go? Like Twitter or...
Just fly.
We're trying. I don't know. We're trying to grow Twitter. We're trying to get into it. Quick answer. Do you have a quick answer?
We got a website where they can go, wuppogame.com. And there's a Reddit, Wuppo Reddit. There's a Discord channel.
Sweet.
There's a Facebook page. There's too many things.
Yeah, we have a lot of places where we try to keep in touch with people, so it's hard to pinpoint one. That's the one that you should.
That's fine. We'll tell them to Google Wuppo and then just hit them all.
Google Wuppo.
Go to all the places.
That's a good idea. Yeah.
Just turn off the lights, say Wuppo 3 times in a mirror, and then you'll be in communication.
And the Wums will appear.
All right. Thank you both very much. And thank you, listeners. Thank you, Pete.
Yeah, always glad to talk to talented people.
Till next time, peace.
Bye.
Bye.